This podcast is brought to you by Infinite Resources, a local staffing agency connecting diverse job candidates in central Iowa companies.
Amplified.
Well, I've been wanting to talk to you, man. I know you used to have a podcast of your own back in 2020. Mm-hmm. I think I invited myself. I don't know if you remember. But I was like, talk to me, man. I want to talk about, because your approach to the life, it's like mindfulness, and we'll get into all that. But so I'm really glad that we finally made it happen.
Yeah.
And I've seen you your journey as a leader in the community, and then when you started being the head coach of North High School. Mm-hmm. And also, was kind of witnessing from far away your journey on that, and I'm just like very proud of you, and I'm sure a lot of people tell you the same thing. So, but this latest season or whatever we're doing is about leadership and just trials and tribulations. Mm. So who else than a person that's leading the future of America? So what is it like? I mean, you are coaching. I mean, your approach is different. You're coaching young men, mm-hmm. right? Tell us a little bit about your story, I guess, and how you landed on the coaching job of North High School, and what does that mean to you?
I'll sum my story up pretty quick. In 8 years of basketball, I had 9 different coaches. 2 of those coaches impacted me. Mm-hmm. The other 7, I decided I did not want to be like those dudes. So I wasn't necessarily, like, there are people that I've played basketball with who have grown up under really good coaches. I mean, like Hall of Fame, like Division I, pro, like really, really, high level coaches. I had my one coach in junior college who is now a Division I assistant. We used to call him the general. He'd come in the morning. We'd have to do our sprints, and he would always sit a chair at the free throw line. Because some days he would be mad and some days he wouldn't. And if people weren't running hard, he'd somehow use that chair as a projectile object.
Bobby Knight.
in different ways. But, it's the late 90s, early 2000s. So at that point, I remember one time he was just yelling, just going at me. And he's just in my face, like nose to nose. And there was so much spit coming out of his mouth when he was talking. And I remember just keeping my head straight forward, because if I did anything or said anything or, spit back at him while I was talking, then everybody would have to run. Mm-hmm. So it was a moment of like, okay, I got to eat this right now. And, maybe we'll talk about it later. But I had a lot of coaches that I didn't necessarily agree with. So my journey to getting where I'm at as a coach, there are a lot of players. There's actually one of my players the other day. She played high-level Division I, and I was talking to her, and I was telling her, I wish I'd have done a better job when I was younger of helping kids be present in practice. Practice was sometimes a place where you throw those, like, fear bombs out there, like, if you don't work hard, you're not going to do this, and when you get to college, they're going to do this to you. And that was bad coaching at the time, but also I had to learn. I had to grow, and fortunately, I just stayed with it. So, my path of what I would consider like lack of coaches that I would like helped me decide what I wanted to be for my players. And for me, I want to be a player's coach. Mm-hmm. I want to be a coach that really listens to his players, that gives them space to really share their feelings, what they're thinking, what they don't like, but also a time and place. Mm-hmm. And then also, I may not agree with it. We may have to come about it a different way, but thank you. Like, thank you for telling me how you feel. Mm-hmm. And maybe it's unfortunate that you feel that way right now. Maybe you don't want to play with these guys, but let's just stick with it and see what happens.
Yeah.
And a couple of weeks later, maybe it's a different place.
So even the bad coaches taught you something.
Yeah.
So negative people also impact you in ways where you're like, I know I don't want to be like that guy.
I had a coach who, when you make a mistake,
Mm-hmm.
and I would, maybe a turnover or the wrong play, the wrong read or something he didn't like, and I'd go back on defense and he'd still be yelling my name. I'd come back to offense and he'd still be yelling my name. I'd go back to defense, he'd yell my name until the buzzer rang.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the buzzer rang, he's yelling at me as I come off the court. And even though I didn't want to do that, I would do that at times because it's in my cells. It's what was taught to me. It was what was done to me. So I've done I'd say last year I really, really did a good job of, maybe there was a name called to get somebody's attention. But if I was if there was something that really happened that needed to be addressed, it was probably going to be in the locker room or maybe after the game or maybe the next day, but not on the court where they're going up and down and they already realized they made a mistake anyway.
So quickly, what was your record last year?
15-7. Yeah, we played 23. Yeah, 15-7.
And then what was your
16 and 7.
16 and 7.
Yeah.
What was your record your first year?
So the way I remember it in my head, my first year we got 2 wins.
Mm-hmm.
My second year was 5 wins, and the third year was 15. And each year we have lost our top scorer, whether it's to graduation or whether it's to transfer, you name it. And like last year we lost our top scorer, which made a lot of sense. The kid's probably a pro football player.
Oh, so, I see. So
just
he
when you
focused
see
on
him,
football.
yeah, when you see him walk in, his body's just built the way. And he's high IQ, smart kid, so it made sense for him to pursue that. And he's gotten a ton of offers. But when he left, there was a write-up on us that we would struggle to win. We were going to finish last in our conference. We wouldn't be able to score points. We won conference, 15 wins. Multiple guys on all-conference team, first team, you name it.
So because a lot of what happens in a team, I mean, I reference a lot when I'm talking, like I do sports analogies because like I feel like it fits, in business. So help me out here. When things are going well, the speeches and the party practices and the locker room talk is different than when things are not going well, when you're losing. So tell me a little bit about what your approach is when you're winning 2 or 3 games a season.
For me, I try not to change the message because whether you win or whether you lose, what did you gain from it? Like it's just a number, and if you're celebrating the win too long, you're gonna lose focus. You're gonna wake up tomorrow and that game's not gonna exist anymore. What's going on in your life, or what's next? What do you need to prepare for? So, for me, in high school basketball, you have an opportunity to play in districts, regardless if you win 2 games or 15. And my thing has always been, we need to peak in February.
Okay.
So whatever's happening, so if you're in a business and you got this 6 month plan, you want to be at 5 months. You want to see yourself. You want to see the top of the mountain. You want to be peaking by the time you get to that. And no matter what is happening, it's happening for you. It's can you keep the people believing in that? Can you keep the people excited about that when you're still only winning 2 games?
How do you though? How do you keep? Because they're young men, right? Like that, and teenage years, so they're already like hormonal. Like there's growth everywhere. So how do you keep them from week to week? To is it in practice? Is it like the way you talk to them, or is there certain formula that you put into place?
I go home and throw air punches and cuss. I get all that shit out first. Because I feel
just saw you do that right now.
Because I feel it. And it's the funny thing about kids, like, we've got children of our own.
Yeah.
We can say whatever we want.
Yeah.
But they're watching us. Like, they're watching us more than the words that we say, and how do we respond to things, and how are we carrying ourselves. The thing, me and my friend, we were talking about power the other day, and how power is not an external word. Like, power and control are both neutral words. There's roots, in those words. Often in our Western civilization, power and control are used against people, but there are things that you hold inside of yourself, and sometimes your power is the ability not to be blown, you know, in the wind, or to allow outside things to change your emotions or how you feel about, you know, what you're doing. And like that's my power, you know, and my power is walking in every day, high-fiving guys, saying what's up. And the first year was hard. The first year is really hard because, you know, coming into North, you know, I was back in my hometown coaching, and I'm still believing in my system. Like, I created my own basketball philosophy called WATER. It stands for wisdom applied together. It enhances results. You know, 5 players on the court, all versatile, who can all play all positions, do everything defensively, understand all, you know, any offensive sets, any defensive sets, and then play jazz. And based on their skill set, they can go out and use their wisdom. Okay, if the guy has the basketball and I'm over in the corner and my guy is, you know, over helping, then we both have to see that. The guy with the basketball has to attack that guy that's over helping, and I got to have my hands and feet ready to shoot the basketball. That's wisdom applied together. So that was my philosophy when I was back in my hometown. I just didn't have time to build it, and I kind of got ran up out of there. So trying to continue to believe in myself and then coming to North and winning 2 games, like, it was hard. Like, there's somebody I'll give credit to is Chad Ryan. Now, my athletic director. You know, he was a coach at North for 13, 14 years, and he, you know, there was Coach Mel Green, who is a legend there, and then, you know, Chad Ryan, who would be considered a legend as a basketball coach at North. You know, they moved those programs, to, you know, to high heights. When I got hired, Chad was not the AD, and then like 3 weeks later, the AD left and Chad got the AD job. And he has just pumped me full of confidence, just constantly saying, like, man, like, the way you're thinking about the game is unique. You need to just be yourself. Don't worry about the wins. It's going to come. Like, I see what you're doing. And the more he did that, like, the more I just kept finding my confidence to just stand firm. And I don't care if we got 2 wins or 5. There's a way you play this game, and this is how we're going to play it. And, yeah, just try to keep the message the same, and we can get it done.
So it starts from you then. You can't be throwing air punches in front of the kids.
Well, you can, but you don't get an assault rifle. You get a 6-shooter. And sometimes, like, the kids need motivation. Sometimes they're not taking care of business. But I can't use it every day, like, you know, like I was before, like the coaching world I came up in. Now these kids now, like, they can put words to their emotions. They can put words to their feelings. And even if they don't say it, it's going through them. And eventually they'll just shut it down on you. They may not tell you, but you can tell, right? And that's the last thing that I can have them do, is them shutting down on me. Because when you shut down on somebody else, you're really shutting down on yourself at times. Like, there's times you shut it down on other people to be safe, right? You can move yourself from the proximity or the environment of whatever danger somebody's bringing to you. But if it's somebody you care about and somebody you're trying to get something done with, like, you got to communicate, you know, because eventually you're going to walk on eggshells and not be yourself around, you know, those people or that situation.
So you said it's 2-win season, then 3, then 5?
2, 5, 15.
Okay, so did you see that 15-win season coming? And what happened between 5 and 15? Because that's like a big jump.
Yeah, I saw it.
Okay.
Yeah, we spoke it out. Yeah, we spoke it out. Like, constant. That was our goal when we started the season, is to get the 15 wins, to win conference, and to get a district win. We did all 3 of those things. It is very important that you speak out what you want, and you constantly repeat it, and you constantly remind the people around you, like, okay, we lost a game we shouldn't have lost at a certain point in the season, but this is where we're trying to go. And we have to learn from this. Let's sit down. Let's watch film. Let's see the little things, and let's use this as information to be better people and better basketball players.
So what about that 5 to 15 jump, though? What was the big difference? It would have been like an 8-win season, right? Or a 9-win season. You would still consider it a progressive, right? You're moving upward, but it was a big jump. Is there anything that you can think of that was like?
That's a lot of factors. The kids bought in more. These young men were freshmen when we had the 2-win season. So young men that got the 15-win, like, they've been around it for a little bit now.
Yeah.
Right, and now that they're our seniors now.
So they know what it feels like to be on the bottom of the bottom.
which is actually funny because, this summer we started out playing in June, and I got 7 seniors now, and I haven't had that yet.
They were freshmen when there was a 2-win.
Yeah, they were freshmen when I got the job. And I realized, man, we have a lot of, like, older guys finally, but we don't have as much maturity. So, like, we got all these seniors, but nobody wanted to lead each other. That's another hard thing with, like, youth today. I think they internalize so much, like, okay, they're doing something that's out of line, but if I say something, now I'm going to be the one on the outs, so I'm probably not going to say anything. I'm just going to sit back. But in a sports setting, when you're on a team, okay teams, bad teams have no leader. Okay teams are coach-led. The best teams are player-led. So, like, even when you think about business, like, you have a CEO or you have an owner, they could be a great leader, but that business is only going to, like, operate in the middle until you have employees or people that are fully engaged in leadership, where you have a standard of how you clean things or you have a standard of how you take care of the office. Everybody's responsible for upholding that with each other by doing. Like, everybody's supposed to clean the bathroom. Everybody's supposed to empty the garbage, or like, those teams win.
And so right now, what do you foresee for this season for your team?
We jumped it up a little bit. Yeah, we jumped the win goal up a little bit. I'm gonna keep it between our team right now, but yeah, we jumped it up a little bit, and our postseason goal looks different as well.
Okay.
Which made June really difficult, because we didn't start out how we wanted, because we're still riding off the high of last year. We think that what we did then is going to affect now. That's not how things work. You have to put in even more work, right? Like, we won conference. It was a tie at first, and then there was a technicality that happened. So now there's a there's a target on our back. It's people that think that, all of a sudden now we're arrogant, or, we think we're better than, which that ain't true. That ain't how we operate. Yeah, I went and made some hats. We're supposed to celebrate. If you work really hard and then you win, that's another thing. Like, the boys that I coach, like, what I noticed is, like, there's not a lot of wins that are celebrated. Like, everything's just kind of ho-hum, and that wasn't the case for me. Like, when we won conference, I went and bought the Martinelli's, like, little sparkling apple juice things, and we're in the locker room throwing them around. I bought everybody goggles. We got goggles on, and we got hats printed, and we had fun.
I mean, you got to celebrate after having a 2-win season. I mean, if you can't celebrate that, then so how do you, I mean, you don't have the luxury of keeping the players. They got to go into the world, right? So how do you prepare for, the next year? Are you already, like, thinking about, like, the freshmen that you have? And
Yeah, so we do our workouts, like our varsity guys do our workouts every day, 3:30 to 5. And then our going to be 8th graders and going to be 9th graders. So I did it word of mouth. A lot of coaches, like, actually run camps, and they do it for, like, 2 days or, like, a week or whatever it is. I did it word of mouth, and slowly, like, I mean, we ended up with 7 to 10, 7th, 8th, 9th graders who were coming in daily to work out with me from 2:30 to 3:30. And I like organic. I didn't want people, like, when you offer a camp, people are looking for a certain thing. And when you come work out with me, we're not about to do nothing fancy, bro. Like, this, and I warn him, like, this could feel boring at sometimes.
Okay.
Like, you're going to learn how to jump stop and reverse pivot. You're going to learn how to shoot a left-hand layup. You're going to learn how to dribble with your right hand. Like, we don't have to do anything fancy. We just do the basic things over and over again, and then you're going to be confident. Just master the simple movements of it.
So if there's somebody that aspires to be a coach, I always thought I could be a good coach for soccer, but I never, like, did it. I never found time. I guess I'm sure there's time, but but I was like, I could be a good coach. I like to coach maybe like 13 to 15-year-olds. I think by that time they already have some competitive stuff. But do you have any specific tips for me, like, or for anybody out there that was thinking about being a coach?
I mean, one, I think you're already a good coach. I mean, we go for walks and talk, and you're always giving me gems of things that I don't know. So you're a thinker, and you think outside the box. So yeah, I don't think you need any tips. Now I think anybody that wants to be a coach, I think they have to find out who they are first.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they have to know who you are as a coach and what you want to see in the game and what matters to you in the game. There are a lot of coaches that regurgitate. They can look up an offense or like some X and O's or some philosophies, and they just regurgitate.
Yeah.
Instead of for me, I know I have more of a Bruce Lee style of coaching.
Okay.
I know all the offenses, I know all the defenses. If you ask me who was my mentor as a coach, I'll name 100 of them. And some of them I've never met. Some of them don't even know that they're that. Joe, I just added Joe Mazzulla to my new mentor list, the Boston Celtics coach.
Okay.
So I like who he is as a man. I like how he stands, what he stands for.
The new one, the current one.
The new one that just won the championship.
Okay.
Yeah. And then so for me, I just add all those things together and decide what works for me? How do I feel about this?
Yeah.
And, I'm adapting every day. I really just ask to be used as a vessel. For me, basketball is like the bus that we drive.
Yeah.
But I really want to help these young men find out who they are through a fun game. That's what the game should be used for. That's what every youth sport, anything that any of our kids are traveling for, any dance, any cheerleading, any fishing tournament, anything you're doing, any art you're in, any music you're creating, you should be doing it to find out who you are and what is inside of you and what can you bring out. Not for what you can get from it, not the money you can make or the scholarship you can get or the write-up or the ranking. Those things will naturally be a byproduct. I like to use Kobe as an example. Maybe it's a big example, but I don't think Kobe imagined he would have 2 jerseys retired. But you work so hard at something. And the rumor was always about Kobe is he would work for – actually, Peter Jock was telling me a story. I think it was about Buddy Hield, that Buddy Hield showed up to work out with Kobe, and Buddy showed up, and Kobe's already on the wing doing jab steps, and there's a puddle of sweat in front of Kobe. Now, most basketball players, you're going to go get a towel and wipe the floor so you don't fall. Kobe wouldn't let nobody get a towel. He's like, the floor's going to be wet too while you're playing. Kobe had already been there for 2 hours, and they worked for 2 more hours on the same exact move in the same exact spot for 4 hours, a pro. So, there's something to that. You don't have to focus on all these other things. Find out who you are through what you're doing.
So your water philosophy or style, you were doing it in your hometown and you brought it to North and you kept it, right? And now you've evolved it into the dojo. Can you elaborate on that a little bit more on your new what is the dojo?
The dojo is basically the dojo is master simple movements. The mission is to master the simple movements of the game. The vision is to find mindfulness, right? So oftentimes I would complain about basketball, what I would see or how I would see the game being played. And I was I don't want to be a complainer. I want to be a contributor. So the dojo was created. I have this love of karate films, martial arts films, since I was little. I was born in 1980, which I would argue was one of the greatest times for movies and music and you name it. So, I would watch any Bruce Lee film, any of the Shogun Assassins, any of the Wu-Tang verse. You can name a million crews that they, fought against. Bruce Leroy, which was a Barry Gordy movie. The Last Dragon, which was Bruce Leroy was in it. Any of those movies, and it was always showing the same exact message. There's this young person who, was getting beat up by life a little bit, and then they're striving towards something, and then they always show this period of them working on their skills, and then eventually they have to face something, and then eventually have to stand for something, and then, so it was always that same story, and I was I want to connect. I discovered I wanted to connect basketball and mindfulness.
Mm-hmm.
So I just figured out how to do that. And one of my mentor coaches is Phil Jackson. I read his book, Sacred Hoops.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, oh, this is a thing.
Yeah.
You know, and then, you know, after the Bulls won their first championship, Phil Jackson was worried that his B-level superstars becoming A-level superstars would lose focus and that fire in them to win. So he went and pursued, you know, trying to find like a mindfulness yoga coach. And he got connected with George Mumford, who then came to the Bulls. They won 5 more championships. Then George Mumford followed him to the Los Angeles Lakers, won more championships. And then I read George Mumford's book, and then I started like searching him up online and found out he had a course. So I took his first course, and I just finished his second course. And I'm fortunate that like we communicate. You know, I can reach out to him, I can email him, I can message him, and he'll message me back and share ideas. So like he's my Shifu. You know, in a sense to, you know, so I think even more importantly for the young men in the environment that I coach, trying to find ways to bring peace to the game when oftentimes, you know, on the north side, like it's just loud. There's a lot of noise. And I don't just mean like audible noise, but there's always somebody saying something about what you're doing or how you're doing it, or there's a distraction over here, or maybe there's things going on in your home environment or whatever it may be. So if I can take this game that you're going to go play anyway and teach you how to listen to the ball when it bounces and teach you how to listen to the net when it swishes and teach you how to feel how your heart beats when you run, now you can be where your toes are at. You don't have to worry about, well, how did I do that? Or did it go in? Or is that good enough? None of that matters. That's going to come out later. So that's how the dojo came about, is just seeing a need and wanting to connect it to. Like, you know, when I left Keokuk and then came up to Des Moines, I was with the AAU program, and then I left there right when George Floyd happened, is really what happened. And then I was like, I have to figure something out. So I bought a kayak. I was camping. I was on my bike.
Okay.
And I was really spending time just really learning like more deeply about myself. And I was like, oh, I can create an environment where we can, this is possible. It's possible in anything. Just breathe.
Just breathe.
Yeah, just breathe.
I mean,
which I may be struggling to do that a little bit right now. I had a little sinus thing going on this last week.
But it's like we go through life kind of just almost on autopilot, right? And like, but the value in breathing is it's underrated. I mean, that's how we stay alive. And I guess I don't know if I'm going anywhere, but you're right. I mean, it sounds so simple, right? Just breathe. But sometimes we go days without acknowledging our breath. And I mean, obviously, you know, I'm guilty of it because some days, like, you know, so how do you go about that though? How do you go about like making it more of a daily conscious thing and not just whenever somebody reminds you?
I just started calling it practice. Yeah, I just like start calling it practice, because there are days I'll go the whole time and I won't even realize, like, yo, I'm just moving, shaking. You know, I get to the next day, I was like, okay, I don't want to do that no more. At least not today.
Yeah. So
today I'm going to practice. Anytime I'm walking into something or I'm going to do something, I take deep breaths and I affirm it. And I speak out what my intention is and what kind of impact I want to make when I walk into places. And then it helps me stay like grounded where I'm at. And what I can start to see happening is like, I'm in control of everything happening to me without being in control. Because I've let go of all of it. None of it matters. I'm just trying to breathe, bro. That's it. And then the rest of it just takes care of itself.
So what are the other, not that you have to like tell all the secret sauce of the dojo here, but if you want, like, what are the fundamentals of the dojo?
So the dojo, it's morphed into a few things. It started out as a basketball camp. I would draw a clock on the court with a dry erase marker and tell the kids to put 1 foot in the middle, like a clock. You put 1 foot in the middle, and then put your foot on the 11, and then bring it back to the 1. Now move the ball like this. So I was really teaching them how to pivot, you know, how to understand their body.
Oh, okay.
You get what I'm saying?
Like Mr. Miyagi?
Yeah. Hang the coat up.
Yeah.
Put it down. But now it's morphed into a book, and the book is, it's got 9 chapters. It just so happened to have 9 chapters to it.
Okay.
Which the chapters are, and they work themselves, kind of clockwise, but, footwork, core, hand dexterity, conditioning, IQ, emotional intelligence, just kind of works itself all the way around until you get to breath work and then mastering the game. And then you just start all the way back over. Because, like, once you get to higher levels, like, you just maintain your basic skills.
Right.
It'd be like, I imagine if I started working with the Shifu at a dojo, like the same thing I was doing the first day, I could be doing 5 years from now.
Yeah.
Just doing it over and over, keeping my skill sharp, because that's all that it's about. So there's a book there. Then there's a 6-part children's book I'm doing. And the title is The Game of Basketball. Sometimes the game of basketball makes me feel, and then insert mad, sad, scared, powerful, powerful, joyful, peaceful, and just telling little stories, because that's missing. Like, there are kids who, miss a free throw on a game-winning free throw, and now they're afraid to shoot a free throw.
Yeah.
No, man, you missing that free throw might have been the best thing that ever happened to you. It probably is. There's just another way to look at it. And sometimes parents aren't necessarily equipped for that ride home behind the windshield.
Yeah.
Because you're a parent.
Yeah.
You feel sorry for your kid. And you also feel a little heat from the other parents looking at you while that just happened, because they're trying to see how you react.
Yeah.
To merch, to gear, which is just a reminder that, help people. It's kind of a fun reminder. The yoga mat, I created a basketball. So I'll start to have merch drop this fall. So the actual dojo isn't a physical place, though.
Okay.
The dojo belongs to you. And I would love to have that conversation with, various martial arts masters on how they feel about that, because, like, I would respect their opinion more so than how I necessarily feel about it.
Yeah.
But everything I've studied and tried to understand about it is that it does, like, it's everywhere with you.
Yeah.
At any time, and it's a place where you're just trying to get better at your skills. You don't have to be on the basketball court to be a better basketball player. That's be a better human being. Like, be a better neighbor. Be a better brother or sister or a son or a daughter or a friend. Like, those things all help you be a better basketball player. So you can always work on your game. You don't have to have a basketball to be in the dojo.
Who are your, like, inspirations? Like, I know you mentioned a few already, but basketball wise, for example, is there anybody right now that you're like, I like how this person is, or this player is kind of handling themselves?
There are a lot of players. I mean, I was raised in a fun era. Even basketball. Like, I got to watch Magic Johnson play. I got to watch Michael Jordan. I got to watch Larry Bird. I got to see the tail end of Dr. J, to Dominique Wilkins, to Sean Kemp, to Gary Payton, to Xavier McDaniel. I mean, I'm a basketball historian. I got to really watch the game. I remember watching the game. I remember being young and understanding the game. I remember being young and watching people's bodies move, and then I could tell. Like, I would watch the bodies move so much. I could be in a mall, and I feel like I could tell you how they would shoot a jump shot, or how they would jump, or how they would run. So, like, I've gotten to watch so many basketball players, and a lot of people my age are really down on the younger guys. I think these younger guys are so skilled.
Yeah.
I think it's phenomenal. Like, to watch a guy like Wembanyama come into the NBA at 7 foot, whatever you want to say, 7 foot, he's above it.
Yeah.
And to be able to handle the basketball like he's a guard.
Yeah, that is kind of interesting. I'd see some highlights and you're like,
do you think you could shoot a tennis ball from the 3-point line and make it?
No.
No, it's an odd ball. How it's Wembanyama is shooting a tennis ball. Like that basketball, when you watch his hands on it, you don't see much leather.
Probably like an egg or something.
Yeah, it's just covered by his hand. How do you shoot that, bro?
You gotta have like finesse, right?
Yeah, it's just so much work on the skill. It's funny, a lot of people haven't used the NBA basketball, so they don't respect, like, scoring 10 points with a regular, like, high school basketball is way different than like in the NBA. That ball is such a skill ball. If you shoot the ball and you stop your follow through, that ball's gonna miss. You have to do everything right. Your dribbles, your follow throughs, your passes. That ball is it's a very unique basketball. So for those guys to be able to score 30 or 40 or 60 or 70 points, it's phenomenal. I think Anthony Edwards, I love how he plays. I love his heart. I love his heart. I love who Drew Holiday is as a teammate and a person. Steph Curry's he's a saint. Like he can do no wrong. He's just fun to watch. He's always fighting to win. He's always fighting through something. I like Draymond Green. I grew up playing with those guys. I had a little bit of that in me. I was small. And in the era that I played in, it was okay. Like now it's just not okay because the NBA changed a little bit.
Yeah.
But I like Draymond Green. He does a little too much sometimes.
Yeah.
Which people had to tell me sometimes. You do, hey man, like just play ball.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just want to push somebody because he just elbowed me for no reason.
What do you tell a player of, like, let's say he's one of your players, but he's got some kind of behaviors like Draymond Green does, that are, just slightly too much, or lets their temper get to them, or overshadow their performance, or...
It's interesting. Like any player you ever see that has that, that's usually their gift. Like I struggled with my emotional intelligence when I was younger. Like anger was the first thing I went to. It's my gift now. It's my superpower. So I have to be really careful. Like actually I have a player right now who, man, he would blow his top and you couldn't even talk to him. He's our leader now. Right? Because it's about nurturing it. It's about allowing it to happen a little bit, and then maybe a sub without saying much, and say, hey man, when you're ready, we can go back in.
Yeah.
And you send them back in. And if it happens again, now it's a conversation. But they know what they just did. They just couldn't control themselves in that moment.
Yeah.
Because their fire burned so bright. And the thing about fire, like I heard somebody once say, like you can cook your food with it, or you can burn yourself with it. Yeah, you could burn yourself with it. Like fire is a good thing, but it can also cause a lot of destruction, right? But being able to have that fire and not let it drive the car, let that homie sit in the passenger seat. But we need you here because we're competing out here.
Right.
So don't lose it and grow it.
You can't turn the fire out because then they're not themselves anymore.
And they're not themselves anymore. Now they're struggling with something even greater.
Yeah,
which is their identity, like, or what they feel or their feelings. So now they start to tell themselves that they can't feel this way. Well, this is how you feel, bro. Just be aware of when you start to feel that way. Like, they all play video games, right? So I don't know if it's the X button. I'm not a video game guy, but I don't know if it's the X button that makes you jump higher or run faster. But shit, when you're mad, you can run faster.
Yeah.
You can jump a little higher. But if you're turning and yelling at the ref or a teammate, you can't run faster or jump higher. Go get the ball back. Go make another play.
And I think, let me see if I can get to a point here. Like even telling somebody to restrain or, oppress their feelings too much is unhealthy too. What's that guy? He's a tennis player. He's dead, but there's a tennis court named after him in New York.
Arthur Ashe?
Yes, Arthur Ashe. So I saw a documentary about him, and I think he was mixed. But he grew up in an era, or he grew up with parents that kind of taught him to just kind of keep everything, not, don't do this, don't be outspoken, don't do this, don't do that. Like, and throughout the documentary, they kind of shed light on a little bit about on how that was also play a role in his physical health. Because he wasn't, he had such a high figure, and it took him a while for him to like step out of that, and then he became a big advocate for it's social issues and criminal justice and I think AIDS too. But it is also unhealthy, right, to just kind of oppress it and like keep it down, keep it inside.
Well, like the word you said is oppress. Like the last thing that I want to be as a black man is an oppressor.
Right.
Like oppression doesn't start like with a system.
Mm-hmm.
It starts with like taking people's identity.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's we can get into it because we're talking about it. People who oppress people know who those people are.
Mm.
They're either doing it. So if they're doing it unintentional, then they're dealing with their own oppression that they're, pushing on to people.
Mm-hmm.
But if people are doing it intentionally, they know who these people are and why they're trying to hold them back.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a question like that. People that look like us have to ask ourselves, like, well, why are they working so hard to oppress us?
Mm.
What do they know about us that we don't know about us?
Mm-hmm.
What do they know about the human mind, the human body that we don't necessarily know?
Mm-hmm.
And why is there such an effort? And I'm not saying I have that answer,
Mm-hmm.
but just asking those questions in itself, like I can't oppress somebody. I have to do my best to pull out everything of who that person is, at least as long as they're with me. And then as they move on, they'll water their own flowers.
Mm-hmm.
They'll find their own sunlight.
I mean, we're grown men, so we know what we're doing. Like, I think I know the answer to this, but maybe you can shed a little bit light. So, like, we can control who is in our circle, then, right?
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't have the best intentions for you, or that is not, lighting more fire under you. But have you run anything lately where there's like somebody that just gives you a negative energy? What do you do?
Fist bumps.
Huh?
Fist bumps.
Fist bumps.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whenever me and you see each other,
mm-hmm.
it's always boom, you can hear us hit our hands on each other's back.
Uh-huh.
We don't fist bump.
No.
It's real energy and genuine love shown. I don't wish to just walk by people or like give off this energy that I don't mess with you, because then it kind of comes back in a weird way.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to say what's up. I'm going to keep it moving. Because I have been asking God to remove people from my life that don't reciprocate what I'm putting out. And I've also asked God to bring people. And I'm telling you, I haven't even seen the people who aren't bringing that. All I've been seeing is the people who are. So
right.
All I've been seeing is the people who are attracting to me. I don't have to worry about the other stuff. I don't even want to worry about the other stuff. They'll naturally move away because they won't even. Those people can't even stand in proximity of you for too long. It's uncomfortable. They're little in between their thighs, and their underwear starts to get all sweaty.
Yeah.
They just get
that was
home.
very graphic.
Yeah. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah,
you're trying to go home and shower by that time.
Yeah.
Especially if you got 2 more places to go. I'm gonna sit here and be buttery. Yeah, it gets uncomfortable for those people, and good. Good. You should be uncomfortable. We're not gossiping over here, bro. We're not talking bad about nobody over here, bro.
Yeah.
What we trying to do? What we trying to move forward? Is everybody in your family good? Everybody's good. Now we can talk about where we trying to go. If everybody ain't good and you not good, let's talk about you. Let's see where you at. If you got to cry, let's hug, bro. If you want to drink, let's have a drink, bro. Let's make sure you good. Once you good, what we trying to do?
Yeah.
What we trying to accomplish?
What is the end game? What is the biggest mistake that a leader can do?
Not be sure of themselves. Yeah, not be sure of themselves. Funny, this is a cool story. So my biological dad, well, first I mentioned my dad, Tyrone, that I grew up with. He's an amazing man. He married my mom when I think I was 3 or something like that. He taught me how to be a man and a father, like for real. Like if I have somebody I look up to, it's my mom and dad. Yeah, for real. They're dope people. They both pastor a church together back in my hometown, non-denominational. And I'm talking about like what they do with the tithes is really what churches should do with the tithes. They take care of their members. Yeah, for real. So I needed to context that, like how much I love my parents. My biological dad, I didn't meet him until I was almost 30 years old. He needed a kidney, so he reached out. Anyway, we go through life. We kind of interact a little bit, and then he passes away. And then after he passed away. It probably took me about like 4 or 5 years to like really heal. But I remember I was walking in Kansas and my son was at a basketball tournament, and I was like, his name is Tim. I was like, Tim, just talking to him. I was like, what's the one thing you wish you would have done while you was on this earth that you didn't get done? And he said, be sure of you. And as soon as he said that, 3, not goldfinch, I have to remember what birds they were, but 3 of them flew and landed right on the branch, like flew right past my face and landed on the branch. So of course I look it up, like what is the Native American, the Native Indigenous meaning of it. And it's a spiritual meaning of confidence and positive energy and, strong rootedness in yourself. And that's something I've always struggled with. As talented as I've been, as good as I've been at things, I can go accomplish something and then question myself as soon as I'm done with it. And then it just tears me back down. So being sure of yourself, like one, knowing who you are, I think it's important to have self-knowledge.
Right.
And once you do that, just be sure of yourself. Like none of this is real. Like all the things we worry about, all the things, the what ifs, if I make this decision or that, you're going to wake up tomorrow. Most likely, hopefully. And there's going to be another opportunity.
Right.
And it's going to be okay. It's going to keep going.
If we're not sure of ourselves, we can project our insecurities.
And then we oppress
others.
people.
Yeah, and then that's where. Last question. Yeah. What is your life motto?
I don't know if I have one. Yeah, I don't know if I have one. I get so many new ones downloaded to me every day. Yeah, I'm in a place in my life right now where I just want to be a vessel. So maybe that's my motto. Like, I just want things to move through me. Like, I don't want to have an idea or this like lightning bolt moment or this thought and not do it. I don't want to hold on to it no more.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to be a vessel, and because it's not for me. I just in that moment happen to be connected. Yeah, so I mean, maybe that's my motto right now, is just be a vessel. And I don't want no credit for it because it's not me. It's just moving through me. Like you can name whatever higher power you want. I just know there is a power that's greater than me that connects all of us, that made us all the same way. Some call it God, some, whatever labels people, the universe or whatever labels. I just know that whatever power that is, it's too powerful for a label anyway. Just in human sense, we have to have words to it to have conversations about it. But again, like, it's something you can't even really have conversations about, because as you start to even describe it, like, you stutter, you lose words, you just feel it. Yeah, so I just want to be a vessel.
That's beautiful. And I always hope that that you invited me to your old podcast.
I got you.
But now you're gonna have to invite me to your new podcast that you're working on.
What's your jump shot look like?
Okay, this is so this is what I tell people. I
can tell by how you started out.
I'm really good at basketball, but I gotta work on my aiming. The basketball doesn't go in.
You know why? Can I tell you why?
Why?
You use the word aim.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It doesn't go in ever.
Let it fly. Let it rain.
One time I was with the twins at the Y, and like we were just shooting and the ball just never went in. We literally walked away. We're like, bro, we gotta get out of here. This is too embarrassing.
I'm definitely gonna have you on the podcast, and we're gonna shoot. And we're gonna work on aiming.
Oh yeah. When I tell that to people, they're like, that's kind of a crucial part of the game. Yeah. Well, how can people collaborate with you, work with you? Like, how can they get a hold of you? Like, what's you're looking to be doing a lot of things.
Yeah.
Focus on this dojo philosophy. How can people connect with you?
So the Dojo B-Ball, so THEDOJO B-Ball @gmail.com is my email. The Dojo B-Ball is all my handles on Twitter, Instagram. I have a Facebook. I got a lot of stuff coming up. I'm even doing I'm gonna do a storytelling event in the fall as well too.
Yeah.
To give men of color a place to be vulnerable amongst each other and share stories. It's not a common thing. We often hold things in and just wear it and keep going each day. But to create space where people can share with each other, and it's the people on the stage will be under that label, whatever that I just gave, which I don't really care for that label. I'm trying to give people context.
Yeah.
But anybody can come to it, obviously. So, speaking engagements, I'll have merch. I'll be at tournaments in the fall, in the winter. Right now I'm just continuing to craft everything. I have a website, thedojoball.com.
Okay.
My merch will be on there. My birthday's August 5th, so I'm looking to drop something on August 5th.
Okay. You do cool stuff. I bought some that you sold a couple years ago at least or more. Yeah. That's very cool. So
I appreciate you.
I mean, at some point, what you're trying to do is kind of you're out there telling this kind of way of approaching the game, right? So I always say, let's have a conversation when you put two people together, especially if they're both creative and they both have the same, goals, I guess. Something eventually pops. So, and you're open for any of that, right?
Heck yeah.
So,
Heck yeah. Reach out.
Thank you again, Julian, for joining me, and hopefully we'll do it again. And you can help me work on my letting one drop. I just want to hear the swoosh once.
I got you. Even if I got to swipe the net one time for you. I got you.
All right. Well, thank you again for joining me, and we'll see everybody again soon.
Appreciate you.